It's been a pleasure to watch you work as a boxing announcer. Where does the love of boxing come from?
Started at a young age, just got bit by the bug, and like so many of us, it never leaves you. So I loved it since a kid. Had a lot of fights in the street, watched fights as a kid with my dad, did some boxing in the gym, and it just kept growing. But the era that I kind of grew up in that really got me into it was the Four Kings: Leonard, Hagler, Hearns, and Duran.
Beautiful. Now, a lot of people in boxing know you for your ring announcing and being part of the boxing identity, but I guess you're more famous in America as working for the Brooklyn Nets, being the announcer there at the Barclays Center. That must be a dream job for someone like you who has such passion for sport and for NBA basketball.
It is, and it's something I don't take lightly. I feel very honored to do it. It's a lot of fun. It's an incredible organization, not only the Brooklyn Nets but also the NBA as a whole. So to be a part of that family it's a big honor, and it's great. It's great, and every year, there are changes, and there's just so much happening on and off the court. It's very exciting. So and a lot of stuff happening this year with the new general manager, new coach, new players. We're looking forward to a great season, but it's wonderful.
Over the years in boxing, I've had a little bit of experience in hosting shows and doing live events, and I know how hard it is. And I saw you over in New York in June. You were doing the undercard announcing and the weigh-ins for the Thurman Porter fight, and then I saw you on the Friday night at the Boxing Writers Dinner, and you were so composed. And the thing that really impressed me was your passion. You seem to be enjoying yourself when you're live up there, and I really appreciate that someone in your position projects that. You don't look nervous, you don't look disorganised, and I know there must be a lot of preparation involved there. And for someone who's watched that, I really appreciate how you display yourself and how you come across to the public.
I appreciate that, thank you. Sometimes, so for me, a lot of times everything is pretty smooth, and I do feel very comfortable behind a microphone. But you have those situations where it's just chaos behind the scenes. But I'm kind of like the liaison between the promoter and what's going on behind the Wizard of Oz curtain and the public. So no matter what's happening behind the scenes, as long as I seem calm, composed, and like I know what I'm doing, hopefully the people in the seats think everything is just, dandy and fine, and that's great, and that's what I want. So that's great. But the BWAA is just, it's, what it is, it's being around like a family, and you're part of that family, and everyone was very happy that you came this year, and you had a great reception. I think you came the farthest out of anybody, and there were a lot of people at the dinner. But it was great to have you there, but these are people that we see all the time that we work with. So it's being around friends and family, and that's a great thing. So it's easy to feel like that.
But there was one man who was there who's not there all the time, and it must have been pretty cool being up on the stage with him, and he spoke for a long time. It was Floyd Mayweather Jr., and that meant a lot to, I know, a lot of the boxing writers, to have him come along and accept the Fight of the Year award. And he was very gracious, and he spoke very highly of the boxing writers, and I thought he presented himself really well out that night.
It was great that he came, and obviously Floyd, such a presence in the sport, and he got awarded the Fighter of the Year, and we were all happy that he came. It's great, but to me it's about not just one person but everybody. Because it's really also about the writers. That's why they call it the BWAA. But of course we need the fighters to write about. So it's great when everyone kind of comes together. It's really, they call it the Academy Awards of Boxing. And it's what it feels like. And it's again, it sounds cliche to say again, I'm honored to host it, but I am. It's a big deal, and it's really, really great to see everyone, and to also watch different people grow, different writers, different photographers, different fighters, and you never know what's going to happen each year in the sport, and we get to see the best. and congratulate them at that dinner. So it's wonderful, and it was great that Floyd came. Yeah, and he did speak for a long time.
There's three things that are distinctive about you, David, that I see. One I spoke about was your passion. Whatever you're doing, you seem very passionate about it, and I really got a lot of appreciation for that. And the second is your voice. You've got such a distinctive voice. It's so clear, and it's got such a tone, a really resonating tone that you remember. And I wanted to know, have you always had a voice like that growing up as a kid? Is it something you've worked on?
It's funny, I don't think I did as a kid. I guess, you know, you hit a certain age, your voice changes. But people did tell me that they really liked my voice, especially my grandmother used to tell me that. And she said, use your voice, use your voice. My grandmother used to tell me that, and I didn't know what she meant, and I never thought about it. I've done so many jobs in my life leading up to this point. But when I started being in front of crowds on the mic, again, a lot of people would come to me and say things about my voice, and it got me to start thinking, hey, maybe there is something here. And then it just kind of grew from that, I guess. And of course, I smoke a lot of cigars, so maybe that makes it deeper. I don't know.
It's the voice of authority, and it's also, it makes you feel, I better do what he's saying. Now, the third most distinctive thing is your hair. You've got the long hair, you've got the dreads, you know. And our mutual friend, the writer Thomas Hauser, said, you're such an amazing individual, and your hair actually is the most conservative thing about you in his opinion, because you're so out there and into life and everything else. So, well, where does the hair come from? I know it grows, but is there any reason for it?
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons for it, and it's a long story, but I've been growing it since 1988.
Well, it's long hair.
It is long hair. You know, it feels right. The moment it doesn't is the moment I'll cut it. It's kind of like I don't think about, you know, am I going to cut it tomorrow, in a week, in a month? I don't think about it. So I might wake up tomorrow and cut it. It might not feel right, but right now it does, and I love it. And a lot of people say it can be like antennas for energy out there, and you kind of collect vibes. I don't know. It's interesting. But you know, as you know, I'm here in Australia. I do a lot of travel. I'm all around the world. I meet a lot of people, and sometimes you meet people and you just like them. You know, like you, liked you off the bat. You know, we became quick friends, and so it's something that has become my trademark. But to me, it's never about how you wear your hair, but it's about what's inside your head.
I totally agree. Now, you're here in Sydney today. It's your first visit to Australia. Interestingly, having a one-day trip to Australia via Auckland, New Zealand. And I just want to get your initial impressions today about, I took you around a little bit of a tour of Sydney. What did you think?
Great city. Beautiful place. I mean, we hit a lot of the, you know, the famous landmarks, you know, the Harbour Bridge, the Opera House. We went to Bondi Beach, we went to King's Crossing. We saw a lot of great things. But to me, you know, and we got to eat meat pie, which was great. But the people is really the highlight, I think. People are very friendly here, somewhat laid back, especially for a big city. But it's just beautiful, especially the harbor area. I mean, just a beautiful city, and yeah, what a great place. I can't wait to come back and spend more time. And
maybe see a bit more of the outback areas, eh?
I really want to go to the bush. That's what I'd like to do.
Well, David, it's great to be having you here in Sydney, and I really appreciate how you looked after me in York, so I was able to reciprocate, and look forward to seeing you again, and congratulations on all your success with the NBA and in boxing. And we know that you're a very good person to have and steering the way, particularly in boxing, because we need good people like you, so thank you.
Paul, thank you so much. It's really been a pleasure. Hope to see you soon.